Hey there, it's Olivia-Savannah here from Olivia's Catastrophe, and today is quite a monumental vlog that you are watching. It's the final vlog of my 2025 TBR challenge.
Merry Christmas!
Now for you, this is gonna be a little bit weird because I have planned all of my content to February, and in order to get end of the year content in and like new year content in and everything that I want to share, it means you are seeing my 2025 vlogs out of order. So for me, this is the last one I'm filming, but for you, it is not the last one you're seeing. So while I'm feeling all emotional and being like, oh, this is the last ones of my 2025 TBR challenge vlogs, and oh, we're gonna open the very last one of my advent calendar, you're still gonna see this advent calendar again because everything's being posted out of order. I hope that's okay. But yes, we're in the last month, and my last month was wilding, which is to read a book of anything that I want to, any which way, wildcard choice. I've chosen a Christmas book, and that is simply because we are in the month of Christmas, also known as the month of December, where I pretty much single-handedly only read Christmas books, and I really prioritize all of the Christmas books I own. That's because Christmas is my favorite holiday. I explode into Christmas and festivity, and it makes me so incredibly happy. And I've already been reading for a week in my Christmas phase, but this vlog is specifically dedicated to the book Holiday Ever After by Hannah Grace. I've never read anything by Hannah Grace before. Ice hockey romance is not my kind of thing, so I haven't read any, but you know, Holiday Ever After, it promises Christmas romance, and that is very much my kind of thing. From what I understand, these are two people who are very different. She's a big city girl working in a big company. He is like a little, he's not a little boy, he's a man working in a small town, and he also has a company that he contributes to the like making of these dolls to, and her company steals his company's ideas. She comes to his small town to kind of make amends, and the romance kicks off. I'm 40 pages in. So far they've already met. They had a really flirty first date, and they've just got an instant connection and an instant attraction to each other. So I'm like, what? This book could be done in the next 20 pages, you know, they could just finish this date, meet the next day and get together. So what is really going to happen? I know what the conflict is supposed to be, but I'm kind of like, about this book already, just from the beginning. And I'm gonna like unleash on you my full multi-reading. Sometimes for these vlogs, I stick to the books that I plan to read in the vlog, and if I'm reading anything else outside of that, I don't mention it, but I am gonna mention my other reads. So you're gonna get a vast range of reading updates. So other Christmas reads I've got going on are A Holly Jolly Ever After by Simone and Julie Murphy. This is the second book in the Christmas Notch romance series. I reviewed the first one recently, so I'll leave a link to that down below. And in this one, we're following Winnie. She has been an actor within the like faith-based media, so like a good Christian girl image, and that was almost ruined. So she married her husband very young and everything, and now her and her husband are split, and she's kind of like reliving her life and rediscovering herself, and that includes being part of a very like raunchy Christmas film, which is absolutely the opposite to everything she's ever done. However, she needs to like fake feelings on screen, and she's finding that very difficult because she's never done the feelings that she needs to fake. Trying to keep this a family-friendly channel. And then he is like a pop star. He's an ex-pop star, sorry, his group has split apart, and he had a sex tape and it leaked. And so he has been cast also in this film alongside her, and he's like, oh, you don't know how to act these feelings, let me teach you. So that's kind of the dynamic we've got going here. I'm exactly halfway through. I love it so much. I read half the book in one night. I read all of that in one night. I couldn't stop. I was like, oh, this is just, I drink it down. I drink in this writing. I also think this is a step up in quality from the first book. In the first book, as soon as I read it, I am a huge fan of Sierra Simone, to be fair, but I was like, these are Sierra Simone's chapters, these are Julie Murphy's chapters, and it was very clear to me who was writing what. Whereas this time, it took me a longer time to cotton on. The steamy scenes are so good. They're so good. If you liked Sinner by Sierra Simone, it's that kind of training vibes, and I really love how Sierra Simone always talks about like faith and religion, and this one is tackling purity culture because Winnie was very steeped in purity culture and like the toxicity of that kind of culture, and how you can walk the line of keeping your faith but also, you know, having fun as well, and how the rigidity of the rules are actually very problematic. And yeah, And I also do like Callum. I don't quite know where his individual storyline is going, but I sense that that's going to be the main conflict of the book. I've actually read all of this in one day and then stopped reading because I've realised, I've started to do this with Simone books, I don't like the part where everything falls apart. Like, it hurts me that I have to go through the part where everything goes wrong. I don't enjoy it anymore. I'm like, I just want them to be happy, and that's a good thing. That shows that her writing, their writing, I keep forgetting that Julie Murphy co-wrote these books, but their writing is just like so good that I don't want the characters to hurt. I don't want them to feel upset, and so I'm like delaying the inevitable, but I am going to continue reading this. And then remember this year I did my first ever buddy read with my best friend. We enjoyed it so much that we decided we need to buddy read books more, and so we're currently buddy reading for the wintry festive season Some Like It Cold by Elle McNicoll. So this is not strictly a Christmas book, but it's a wintry YA romance book, and we've got an autistic main character who comes from this very like small town, and she leaves the small town to go to uni, and she's just coming back for the holidays in this particular book. Her sister is getting married, and the like enemy of her from her childhood is making a film about the town and how horrible it is, and so those two things are coinciding at the same time. So far, how far are we in? We're 100 pages in, and we're both having a really good time. We can kind of see where the conflict is probably going to go, but that is fine. We're still really enjoying it. The autism rep is really good. This is Own Voices for Autistic Reps, so obviously it's done very well here, and we're just liking it. Like, we like the characters, we like the character dynamics. There's a lot of actually meanness in this small town. Lots of the characters are really mean, but the storyline that's actually intriguing me the most is one about friendship, because she has left this small town and she's coming back to visit her friend. How do you maintain a long distance friendship? Can it still be as close as it always is? Which is very interesting for me and my best friend, who have a long distance friendship because of circumstance. Just, you know, discussing that and unpicking it. So that's very fascinating. Then the last book I'm currently reading, I know this has been a long segment, is Hard Times by Charles Dickens. That's upside down. I am buddy reading this with Abby from Abbey of Pelennor. We started last month, and we're reading a chapter every day, and we will finish it by the end of the year in the progress of reading a chapter a day. I don't actually have that much to say about this book. I went into it without reading the synopsis. I've read a lot of Dickens before, and I don't quite get where the book is going. I think I understand it more now. We've got a lot of characters. Is it just like loads of individual characters having their struggles, or is it all going to come together into one big plot? Still to be determined, even though we are over halfway now. So that's quite interesting. And that's it for what I'm currently reading. Let's do the calendar. I don't usually do the calendar first thing, but I'm so excited to finish this calendar. My new calendar has already arrived, and so it's time to retire this. Oh, this is special. Oh, it's nice that they did something special for the last one. Oh, wow. So it's actually like its own individual little thing, and it's because it's 2 tea bags versus 1, which is really nice. And on the back it says this is their everyday brew. So actually, as a like last flavour, it's not that exciting because it's like an everyday brew. What's special about this tea? Our signature blend, our daily cuppa, our builder's brew, our Rosie Lee, call it whatever you want, but our everyday brew is the ultimate British favourite. 3 delicious teas, Assam Ceylon and a lovely Rwandan blend to give it a nice balanced, malty, zesty alliance. I'm not sure that I'm so happy that they've ended the calendar on this tea, but I'll take the fact that they gave us 2. Hello, so we're gonna kind of change this vlog. So rather than it being me getting from the beginning to the end of Holiday Ever After, it's just gonna be a week-long Christmas reading vlog because I've only got 100 pages left of this. Before we get into this, I will say like clubbing was really fun to see my friend go for prees. The next day I went out for brunch with them, pancakes. Whoever made the clubbing brunch combination, they knew what they were doing. I've actually never done like the clubbing to brunch pipeline because usually I'm so socialed out by, you know, spending the whole night awake, and I did get back at 5 a.m. that I don't want to socialize the next day. But this time I like pushed myself a little bit. The food was great. I was not my most social, but they were like buzzing and friendly, so that was fine. And then I spent the rest of my day just reading this, so I've actually only got 100 pages left before the end, and I'm kind of racing through it because I don't actually have that many great things to say about this book. I don't think it's bad by any means. It's perfectly fine. I was recently watching Rylan reading A Merry Little Meet Cute, and she was like, it didn't have enough Christmassy in it for what I wanted. And I'm going to say the exact same thing about this, because I thought it was going to have more Christmassy vibes, but instead it's doing what Love Light Farms did, where it spans like before Thanksgiving to like the run up to Christmas, and I presume we're going to end around Christmas, but it's actually like all of that period rather than just Christmas. So it's wintry and it's holiday-y, but it's not very festive. It's a romance book, but like it's not that romantic. Most of it is the actual plot. Like this is more plot driven. It's more about like helping this small town and the shenanigans they get up to while they are helping this small town, and all of this like business situation, and it's actually focused on that and got into so much detail about that it's overshadowing the romance itself. As soon as they meet, they have instant chemistry, so then it's about like how long will it take them to get together, and it takes them a jolly good long time. You know, this is a 360-page book, and I think it took them over halfway to like actually get there, when in the beginning we already see that they have so much chemistry. So what was I waiting for? Like, why did it take them so long? I started to get a bit frustrated, and now they're together. There's some nicknames that he does that I don't really love, which is fine, but I'm actually not that fussy about like nicknames like Princess or Honey or like those pet names. I don't actually mind them. So for me to read this and be like, I don't like a pet name in this, it's not a good sign. There was one pet name that was during a steamy scene, and whew, that turned me off. Speaking of the steamy scenes, there are steamy scenes in this, and I think they're perfectly mediocre and okay. They're not bad steamy scenes, they're not good steamy scenes. The romance, they're nice together, good. The storyline, good enough. Small town vibes are there, but it's just like nothing about this is really shining to me. Nothing is making me love it, so I'm just feeling very mediocre about this. I think I'm going to finish it and forget it, and it's just going to be a Christmas book that I read. Other things that I've been reading, I've read the next 2 chapters of Some Like It Cold, and it's quite funny because in both of these the Nutcracker is being put on. I know that's not like a monumental thing because Nutcracker is a very Christmassy ballet, but just funny to read it in 2 different instances, one where it's very professional ballet and one where it's like a very casual thing. And I'm liking this. I think there was like a cute moment where the reality of grief in a small town and experiencing that is kind of the focus of one of the chapters, and we got to know Arthur, who is our like male love interest character who has his own point of view, a lot better, so I liked that. And then I've steadily been reading my chapters of Hard Times. Why is it always upside down? With Abby, and all I can say, the summary of this book is like, why is Tom? Why is Tom? Like, why is Tom the way that he is? What is Tom doing? Why? What? Tom? That is the summary of this book. I can't really say much more, but I'm liking it. But oof, Tom is frustrating. He's not even the main character, he's a secondary character, and he's frustrating. But yeah, I'm just working today, so I'm just gonna keep on working. Gonna eat some lunch now, gonna tidy the flat this evening and meal prep this evening. Ooh, we'll make something from Callum's cookbook. Let's do that. Alright, so I'm a bit cozy for like a cozy reading evening, but I need to talk to you because I just finished reading Holiday Ever After and I'm feeling a little bit livid because, you know, let me start with the good stuff. So the good stuff is that this book got a lot better towards the end. I think the last 100 pages was the most enjoyment that I got out of this book. It is because, you know, the third act breakup that always happens, and like I felt like there was a bit more pushing the characters to have something happen, even though we all know where it's going to end, right? It still was like a good enough ending, and so I was just happy with the ending because it ended, but also because it like things happened, things moved forward. But what I did also realize is that this book has been doing the run up to Christmas and it skipped over Christmas. It skipped over Christmas. There's no Christmas in this book. There's no Christmas in this book. I'm literally reading it because it was a Christmas festive book, and it's not. It's not. This is like, it's not mismarketing, but it just feels so, no. How dare it not have Christmas? It literally does everything. It does Thanksgiving, it does like all the preamble up to Christmas, it mentions the Nutcracker and Christmas tree shopping and watching Christmas films, time jumps over Christmas and skips to New Year. It literally hits every celebration except for the key one for me in this season. I turned the last page and I was like, wait, hang on, where was Christmas? I was like, what is this? So yeah, finish this one. I think I'm just gonna give it like a middle of the road rating. I just thought it was like fine, it was okay. It wasn't terrible by any means, it was well written. It was just really slow and there was no like tension. It was just a romance book, and that's fine. But I've read romance books in this, you know, good spirits. I've read romance books that are good, and this was just like, okay. And then I also read a bit more of A Holly Jolly, oh, just slapped myself in the face with that. A Holly Jolly Ever After by Simone and Julie Murphy. Now, this was really funny because I was like, I'll read one more chapter and then I'll make dinner. 4 chapters later, I was still reading this book because I couldn't put it down. Every time I start reading this book, I can't stop reading. And it's done a trope. I'm not going to tell you what the trope is because that's like a spoiler to certain people. But it's a trope that not many people like, you know. I think it's a very controversial trope, and it's a trope that I personally have no problem with. I don't mind it. I think it happens, you know, and I don't mind it. I think it's very interesting. What can I say about this trope? I think it's very interesting to tackle the themes that it's tackling while also being a book that's largely about purity culture. And I think I mentioned that one of the characters celebrates Christmas in this and one of the characters celebrates Hanukkah. So I think I talked about how, I don't know if I talked about it in this vlog, but I was talking to someone about how like Christmas and Hanukkah, it's nice when you see books that do like explore that there's more than Christmas to celebrate in this particular season. And while Callum is Jewish and, you know, Hanukkah is a thing for him, it doesn't really go into that. It's still very much like a Christmas book. So I just want to say that here and now. Maybe my comment on that will change by the end of the book, but I just want people to know it is still a Christmas book. And it's also just surprising because what you think will be the conflict has happened in this book, in my opinion, you know. And I've still got a solid like 150 pages left to go, so I'm like, what is going to happen now? Because the conflict that I thought was going to be the main conflict is done and dusted. This is about filming a film. They finished filming the film, you know, that's done now. So it's like, what is coming next? What is the next thing? So I just find that always so interesting that Sierra Simone and Julie Murphy seem to do that, where they're like, this is what you think the plot's going to be, and then it finishes and you've still got book left to go and you're like, well, I guess I'm reading an unpredictable rom-com now. In terms of cooking, I made the tempeh salad bowl and it was delicious. It was really nice. You have to cook, you know, the wild grain salad, then there's the rocket layer, and then there's the tempeh layer, and you cook them all individually. And I sampled each one and I was like, these flavors are nice, these flavors are nice, these flavors are nice. And then you put them all together and compile it in the way that Callum suggests in his cookbook Proper Healthy, which is where I got this recipe from. And then it just tastes amazing. Like, all the flavors complement each other and work really well. And I'm like, sometimes you just gotta put it all together and trust the process. And I did, and it turned out great, so that was nice.
What brings us here, you know, the whole literary world. I think about the books that have influenced me, and I guess like my favorite thing about my favorite books is what they've contributed to my sense of self.
So let's do an update because I've been reading a lot, but I haven't really been vlogging very much. Yesterday I went to the Spotify audiobooks party, which was really nice. I took my sister as a +1 and we kind of used it as a catch-up yap session, but also George the Poet did a performance about, you know, audiobooks in poetry form, and there were lots of stats about the top audiobooks and like the top genres and top authors listened to around this year, so that was really nice. and then let me talk about the books, because that's what we've got. And I've also made the tea, which is here off camera, so that we can try it while I'm sitting by the Christmas tree about to do some reading. So the biggest update is that I stayed up until 1 a.m. finishing Holly Jolly Ever After. What's new? I stayed up ridiculous o'clock reading Simone. It is as it is. So I think I told you about the first half of this book, and then this book comes to part 2, and it becomes a very different book. I'm telling you, part 1 and part 2 feel like 2 very different books. And I think it also did a very good job of like talking about responsibility and how you can have everything that you want within a love interest and think, this is the perfect person for me, but that doesn't mean circumstance and situation will allow them to be the perfect person for you. The second half of this book made me love Callum even more. I would say the first half of this book made me love Winnie, and then the second half of this book made me love Callum, and then eventually it made me love them together, because Callum, let me tell you, he's so thoughtful, and he like is ready and willing to change his ways, but he's willing to wait. And it's actually very interesting because, you know, books about purity culture, typically the idea is that you wait for someone, you wait for the right person, and then this showed waiting in a very different way, in a very different light. And I kind of liked how they flipped the concept of waiting and the like antithesis of purity culture, and then like put it into this book. So I think it's particularly genius in that matter. I also really liked that not everything is a happily ever after. There are some certain sub-storylines in this that are not happily ever afters, and I think that's just realistic, and sometimes you have to cut your losses and accept that things aren't going to work out. And I like that even though this was very much a happily ever after ending, it still managed to show the reality of the big themes that it was tackling as well. But what I will say is that if you are going into this book looking for a happy festive Christmas read, that's not kind of what you get, because the themes are actually so serious in this book. In my opinion, I find them very serious, so I don't actually think it's like a fun festive Christmassy read. But if you don't mind it not being that and you still want to read it in the Christmas period, it's still kind of perfect. Oh, and the last thing I wanted to mention, which I totally forgot to mention through the whole time of me reading this book, is that Callum is fat. He's a plus size character. They kept referring to his like dad bod, and I was like, oh, a dad bod, and I just didn't like, I don't visualize when I read, alright, so I just did not think of what that meant and the implications of it until we got to a certain like steamy scene where he was like, oh, my body is being accepted, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's thinking about his body being accepted. Dad bod, yes, he is a plus size man. And I think we have a lot, I'm not saying we have loads, but we've got a lot more plus size female main character rep than we've got plus size male main character rep out there in the world. So I'm like, wow, I love this, love to see this kind of representation in the book as well. So I really love this. And then I went straight on to read Oh Come All Ye Newlyweds by Julia Murphy and Sierra Simone. This is an extra free bonus chapters novella thing that you can find on Sierra Simone's website. I'm sure you can find it on Julie Murphy's too, I just don't know because that's not where I got it from. And it's basically an epilogue to this book, so I would read this and immediately afterwards read that. That's exactly what I did at 1 a.m. and it was interesting. That one's a lot more, it's not even a lot more steamy, it's just that in this book they hint at doing something within their steamy scenes and they don't do it, and then in the bonus chapter you actually see it get to happen. And also, oh, I can't tell you, that's a spoiler. By the way, I gave Holly Jolly Ever After 5 stars and it became a new favourite. Then I've also been listening to It Happened One Christmas. I don't have my phone, so I don't know who that's by, but here's what the audiobook looks like. I'm listening to this through Libro FM, a link in the description box down below if you want to join through a code of mine. This is an audiobook service that supports indies. It's kind of like bookshop.org. Every time you buy an audiobook, a percentage of the money that you spend on that audiobook with your credit goes to a bookshop of your choice. This is a very cheesy, festive read. It's about a woman who is a film director and she wants to direct a film in Quebec, in a small town, about Christmas. It's a Christmas rom-com. So she goes to the town and she's trying to get all these permits, but then the mayor of the town says no, and he is the one who could really like annihilate it. She's got 5 days before Christmas to get him to turn around and say yes, so they're kind of enemies in that regard because he is stopping her from her dream of producing a really lovely and cheesy Christmas film in this town. The reasons why she wants to do this, there's like backstory of why she's chosen this particular town and is stubbornly focused on it, and I'm halfway through already, and I'm enjoying this a lot. So I don't think this is the Christmassy kind of read that's gonna like change my mind or like become a 5-star new favorite, but it's one of the ones that's like perfectly cheesy, perfectly wholesome, and just doing everything that I could want it to do in a holiday read. And it's set in like Canada and Quebec, and I'm really loving when I see Christmas books set in places that aren't the US lately, because I think so many are set in the US. So it's just nice to see a slightly different Christmas, even though it's not wildly different from the American one, but still like it's got its own things as well. They celebrate more on Christmas Eve. We've got some French in the book. We've got like a big city girl going to a small town, and then you've got their like banters, they don't get along, and they actually end up in a very dangerous, precarious situation, so they have to like look out for each other. I can feel the chemistry rising from the pages, and my heart is just like, yes, give it to me. So I actually think I'm enjoying this quite a lot, and it's like really nice and cute and exactly what I need. It's like watching a Hallmark film in real time, and there's just something that's really like extra cheesy about the fact that I'm reading a Christmas book about making a Christmas film. I've also started reading with my Patreon reading sprints Make You Mine This Christmas by Lizzie, Huxley-Jones. This is a Christmas book that's queer. We've got a bisexual main character, and she kind of goes to a party, meets this guy, and ends up in this like really silly situation where she's caught kissing this guy in the under the mistletoe, which they're doing for laughs because they got on so well as friends. His ex shows up and is like, oh, is this your new girlfriend? And they kind of run with it, and then they get tangled in this whole situation where she ends up fake dating him and coming home with him for Christmas. However, while she's fake dating him at his home for Christmas, she starts to fall for his sister for real. So that's the situation we're going to end up in here. I'm a third of the way through, and I am loving this book. I have very high predictions for this because, first and foremost, this is set in the UK, and it's just so British. All of the things that she says, the way that she acts, the way they both act, is just reeking of Britishness, and I crave that in my books. Like when I read books that are like British, I'm just like, yes, give it to me. Let me see, let me see like my friends and myself in this book. And so it's like really entertaining, and also their banter is so fun. So the guy that she ends up fake dating, it's so clear from the get-go that they have a really brilliant platonic dynamic, and I just really like that because I don't know, I just think friendship is so valued over Christmas time, and a lot of the Christmas books you see are about romance, and so having like a friendship injected as like one of the main things in this book is fantastic in my opinion. Our main character is also a fat character, so we've got like plus size female representation, and I know that his sister is going to be disabled, or is disabled. She's walking with a cane from the first meet cute that they have. They have a really cute meet cute, and so we know that there's also disability rep, plus size rep, and also queer rep with bisexuality. I love to see it in my Christmas reads. So yeah, I'm having a very brilliant start to this. I whizzed through that first third and I can't wait to get back to it. However, what I'm going to be reading in my reading session that I'm about to kick off now is Seas and Greetings by Sierra Simone and Julie Murphy. Like, listen, I can't get enough. I'm obsessed. And so I want to read this novella. This is a novella within the series, and we're following Addison, who you meet in A Holly Jolly Ever After, and you see the appearance of this really tall bodyguard, and she is going to be on a cruise ship. So Addison is like an influencer who comes from the faith TV industry but has crossed over into lifestyle influencer and brand, and she is going to make a cruise which is Twilight themed. I told you, it's Twilight themed. This is the novella for me. So she's making a cruise that's Twilight themed, but she needs a bodyguard for the cruise. She hires Krista, and maybe she's going to catch feelings for her. In the Holly Jolly Ever After, like, we don't hear much about Addison's romantic life, and I was like, ooh, I bet she's secretly gay but is in like the Christian culture and faith, you know, media, and therefore can't be open about herself. And lo and behold, we're going to get a sapphic novella, so it's going to be exactly that kind of situation, and I can't wait. I love the bodyguard trope. That's one of my favorites. I love a good sapphic read, and I love Sierra Simone and Julie Murphy's writing, so I'm in for a good time. It's a novella, so it's like 120 pages. I might not update you halfway, I might just update you at the end, but let's try this tea. I've been talking for a long time. Ooh, that's quite rich. Okay, so I was really underwhelmed when I pulled this tea out of the, you know, advent calendar, but you know, for an everyday tea has a certain flavor and taste that's the same across all everyday teas. Kind of like you know, the Great British Copper. I just find it really standard and, you know, bog standard, hard to differentiate between the different brands. But this is a really rich version of that, so that's really good. I've got my custard creams to dip into my tea while I read my book. Let's get reading. We are on our way to a carol service. You excited?
Yeah.
Who's gonna be there?
All our sisters and their husbands.
And
Our little nephew.
exactly. Onwards we go. Also, this is my new hair. It's black into dark purple, but the purple's kind of hard to see on camera.
Also, this is my new chair.
Oh yeah.
Black and it's powered.
And it gives so much independence.
Yeah, usually when you're filming this, you're pushing me in the wheelchair. But now I'm pushing myself.
Yep. And I have to tell you, I love it. I love not pushing up that hill. I'm here to wrap up and close out this vlog. So in terms of things that have happened since I've last had a chance to properly update you, I undid my twists while I was watching The Night Before Christmas with Vanessa Hudgens on Netflix. And this is one of those like pretty bad Christmas films. It was just bad. But I watched it and I enjoyed it. I really liked it. I just think, you know, the acting was terrible, especially the main guy actor who was playing the knight. He was actually really bad, but he was playing such a cringe role that I don't see how you could play that role well. Vanessa Hudgens was Vanessa Hudgens, full stop. And then the script itself, like sometimes I was cringing and I was like, it's because of the script, it's not actually because of the acting here, it's just because the script is not that good. But it's about like this knight who gets sent into the present day times from the 1300s to fulfill a quest, the quest of his heart, and he like falls in love and stuff, and then he gets sent back and he has to make a choice, and it's kind of cheesy, but at the end I was like, oh, this is kind of cute, you know? So I enjoyed it. I realized I enjoyed those like very cheesy Christmas films. So then I got my hair done the next day, and I got it done with my hairdresser, and we watched Meet Me at Christmas. This is a Pentatonix Christmas film. I thought it was just going to be like a big Christmas film that's basically an advertisement for Pentatonix, and it's actually a bit more than that. Like, it's actually got film elements to it. It's got black main characters, and so I watched it and I enjoyed like the cheesy Pentatonix songs that you hear. Pentatonix has a Christmas album that I really like that I listen to every December. So it was nice to hear those songs. The Pentatonix crew, they cannot act. They can't act, but they didn't have to act much in it because they are not the main cast. The film was very, very cheesy. She needs to like get a Pentatonix ticket for the Christmas Eve concert to kind of meet the love of her life there, or who she thinks, she's had like one meet cute with this guy and she thinks he might be the love of her life, but she needs to employ the help of this other guy to do it. And call me the silliest woman on earth, but I did not see where this was going. And then when it got to where it was going, I was like, obviously it's going here. But it was actually so cute and romantic and cheesy, and there's like so many elements of them like doing these really random things and meeting these random people, doing these acts of kindness around Christmas, you know, getting into ball culture. I was just like, this is so silly and fun, and I really, really enjoyed it, and that is what I would rewatch around Christmas time in future. Cheesy rom-com that gives me everything I want for that kind of film. So I actually started and finished Seas and Greetings by Julie Murphy and Sierra Simone. I just sat down and read this whole novella from beginning to end. This is, I think I described it to you. Yes, I did. And I have to say I found it okay. Because it was so short, it had to go a mile a minute, because it actually packs in like a full plot. Packs in a full plot into 114 pages. So it's like, whew, taken off a breakneck speed. And I really wish that it had like an extra 40 or 80 pages so that it could slow down with its plot and make me believe the flip from them disliking each other into romance a bit more. I just did not believe that flip. It came out of nowhere and I rolled with the punches and went with it, because I did like those two characters individually and I liked them together, but I just didn't quite believe the moment that it flipped into romance, and I didn't foresee that for the character who instigated it, if that makes any sense. I managed to get to halfway through Some Like It Cold by Elle McNicoll, and I'm continuing to enjoy this. I was talking to my friend about how much I like Arthur's character, and she was like, of course you like Arthur's character. he's very Alan Parrish coded, and do you know what, that is so true. And it also made me so happy because get yourself a best friend who reads your favorite book so that she can make comments like that and be completely correct. But yeah, Arthur is quite Adam Parrish coded, and he's like very complex and internal, and there was a moment where autistic character had a shutdown, and I was just reading it like, oh, this is, you know, you can't get better rep than this because the author knows what they're talking about. And yeah, I really liked Arthur's reaction in that moment, the way that he stepped up but also stepped back when she was with her best friend who knows better about this kind of stuff. Like, he understands when he doesn't know information, and I appreciate that in a love interest a lot. And then we're in the last 40 pages of Hard Times by Charles Dickens, but I'm enjoying this a lot at the moment. I'm so invested in these characters and what's happening in the story right now. It's all the intensity, it's all the plot racked up, so there's no space for Charles Dickens to be wordy because a lot of it is like dialogue that is pushing the story and the plot forwards. So yeah, very much enjoying Hard Times. And then every now and again I've been reading some fairy tales from the Grimm's fairy tale collection because I'm going to try and finish it by the end of the year. I don't know if that's successful, I don't know if that's realistic. I've still got 200 pages of fairy tales to go. But I'm determined to finish my first anthology. Like, I often have bought anthologies and then unhauled them because I just don't read anthologies like this that are mostly reference books in the future. But I don't want any unread books on my shelves at some point. Like, I want to read everything I'm keeping. So if I'm gonna keep the Grimm's Fairy Tales as a point of reference, I'm gonna read them all. But yeah, ending this vlog here. Thank you so much for joining me as I read some Christmassy books. And I didn't finish that many in this vlog, I don't think, but this is kind of a real depiction of what my reading is like, because often the vlogs are curated, so I'm reading certain books, so you see me start them and finish them, and I don't mention all the other books I'm reading in between. But this is what my reading is actually like. I'm usually reading multiple things, little bits of loads of stuff all at once, and things are finished and started at like very random and different times. So I hope you enjoyed that dose of reality. Please let me know in the comment section down below, are you a multi-reader or do you read one book at a time? Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, hit that subscribe button if you want to see more, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to be updated every time I have a new video. And you know what they say, onwards and upwards. Excelsior!